everyone, this is Tanya and Modoni. Welcome back to Power Up, the place to brave up
and live your best life. Now, have you ever wanted to start a business or pitch an idea or even ask a girl out, but you got held back because of the feeling of fear? Anyone feel that? Well, clearly everyone around here does, and I'm sure most of you who are listening to us also have felt that feeling of fear creep up within yourself, and it has held you back. Tanya, why is it that we keep doing this to ourselves, that we keep allowing and giving so much power to fear, and it stops us from achieving our dreams?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about my experiences and the people I've talked to and the things that I've read about, and give a couple of scenarios that I think actually contribute to that place where we are. So fear is a very natural thing. From an evolutionary standpoint, it was the one thing that used to keep us safe when we were cavemen and we needed to run away from the lions and all the other wild animals. But fear doesn't really serve us where we are right now, because we don't have the same dangers that we had to face when we were a couple of 1,000 years ago. So these are the two things that I'm going to talk about. So to a certain extent, there's an unworthiness that we start to feel as we start to grow up and evolve through life. And I don't mean that we are unworthy, but this is what happens. So as you grow up when you're young, and then you start, you go to school and you become a young adult, we hear certain messaging. So we are told, you're not beautiful enough, you're not handsome enough, you're not smart enough because, maybe you're not getting the grades that you should be getting, you're not ambitious enough. When we get into the work environment, you're not a high flyer enough. And, while we're having these conversations, you and I, Modoni, we could say we actually know that we don't believe those things. But this is the thing about the things that we're told and how we internalize them. The more we hear these things, the more they start to take root in our subconsciousness, and the more we start to internalize those things while we don't even realize. So what they do is that they create limiting beliefs. And the other thing I'd like to talk about is, so I'm going to give an example of Modoni because we're such good friends. Every time Modoni and I hang out, after our interactions, it doesn't matter whether it's half an hour or half a day, I go away feeling like I'm on top of the world, like I can conquer anything. We have that relationship where we continuously lift each other up. But do you have anyone in your life, or can you remember times in your life where you have someone who you hang out with, and it doesn't matter how long it is for, and when you leave that interaction, you're feeling low, your energy levels are depleted, you feel like you've been burnt to the ground, you feel like you just don't have anything else to give, you just want to get out of that environment, but you can never really tie it back, and it comes from sometimes the conversations we have. So if we are sitting around whining, and not uplifting each other and not encouraging each other, and those kind of things can start to affect how we start to feel about ourselves and how people perceive us. So can you imagine if you leave an interaction like that and go into a job interview? Do you really think you're going to go and perform well in that job interview? You're going to have these fears at the back of your mind. You can't really tell what they are, but you can tell there's something niggling and nagging you at the back of your mind.
I really like what you've shared candidly about why the fear of failure begins to creep up in our minds and in our hearts. And it really is, I believe, unworthiness is the root cause of fear and failure. I also believe that the words we use to define and describe failure are the problem. So we use words such as, I am a failure, or I am a loser. And these words evoke pain and suffering within us. What we really need to do is we need to reframe our metaphor and come up with a new one. And I challenge you at home, come up with a new one. Maybe use something like, I am failing forward. And it's okay for you to be able to, to stumble and fall while you're starting out a business or while you're pitching an idea. And I love this book by Brené Brown called Daring Greatly. It's a really good book, and if you can, please get a copy of it. So Brené Brown talks about, finding the courage and being vulnerable enough for you to be able to go out into the world and do that one thing that you and only you are really good at. And there's a passage here that I would like to go ahead and read out, where she says, When we spend our lives waiting until we're perfect or bulletproof before we walk into the arena, we ultimately sacrifice our relationships and opportunities that may not be recoverable. We squander our precious time, and we turn our backs on our gifts, these unique contributions that only we can make. So please remember that you don't have to be perfect. Just go ahead and start anyway, and that's okay.
And I'm just going to leave us with a challenge, and I'm going to do this as well, and I'm going to ask Muthoni to do this, but in the audience, please join us. This coming week, when you find yourself withdrawing from something because you're afraid you're going to hear a no, whether it's the guy who you've been wanting to ask out or the girl, or whether it's a job, or just you're in a conference maybe for work, and you heard someone speaking really well at the podium, and you want to reach out to them, but you're thinking to yourself, no, I might get embarrassed, they might say no to me. You know what, just go ahead. And this is the thing, and I tell people that even I do this a lot. So if I see a great opportunity, whether it's in business or for a promotion or in a career, and it's something that I want to do, talk to someone who you can trust, so a mentor or one of your bosses if you're on good terms, and ask them, is this a good fit for me at this point in my life? And if their answer is anything but hell yes, then do a follow-up question and ask, for me to be right for this position in 6 months or in 9 months or in a year, what do I need to start doing now that is going to prepare me to step into the arena with my chest puffed out and ready to take the bull by the horns?
I really like the challenge that you've posed to all of us, and I am definitely going to go ahead and take that challenge and try it out this week. And I hope you do the same, and we would love to hear your comments and your thoughts. Please go ahead and subscribe to Power Up, the place to brave up and live your best life.